Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. General Hospital, Monday, October 4 update. Jason's revelation rocks Maxie, and Spinelli Alexis requests to honor Sam's memory. General Hospital, GH, spoilers update for Monday, October 4, reveals that Holly Sutton, Emma Sams, will wonder where her relationship with Robert Scorpio, Tristan Rogers, goes from here. Since Robert isn't sure he can forgive Holly, she'll ask if that means he's cutting her out of his life. Robert may not go that far, but he might want some distance from Holly while he processes the news about Sasha Gilmore Corbin, Sophia Matson. At the moment, Robert is still coming to grips with all the years he missed and holding out hope that Sasha will agree to bond with him. Meanwhile, Danny Morgan, Asher Antonizon, will be ready to accept the responsibility of watching over Scout Quartermain, Cosette Avenant, now that Sam McCall, Kelly Monaco, is gone. Carly Spencer, Laura Wright, will acknowledge how brave Danny is being, but she won't want him to hide his true feelings. It's all right for Danny to be vulnerable and cry or lash out if he needs to. As for Drew Quartermain, Cameron Matheson, he'll vow to always give Scout honesty. Scout may feel like the adults are withholding info about Sam's demise, but Drew may promise to offer updates as soon as he has them. At GH, Rocco Falconeri, Finkar will continue to torture himself over Sam's grim fate. Since Rocco feels like he pressured Sam into donating part of her liver, he'll think he's responsible for Danny and Scout losing their mom. Laura Collins, Jenny Francis, will assure Rocco that Sam saved Lulu Spencer, Alexa Havens, because she was a generous person, not because she felt obligated or thought Rocco would be disappointed if she didn't. Over with Sonny Corinthos, Morris Bernard, he'll continue to comfort Dante Falconeri, Dominic Zamprogna, as best as he can. Dante will keep blaming himself over Sam's fatality and won't know how he's supposed to go on without her. Sonny has faced some tough losses in his own life, so he'll speak from experience when he tells Dante that things will get better. Dante will always love and miss Sam, but he'll find a way to cope in time. For now, Sonny may push Dante to lean on his loved ones and just concentrate on supporting Rocco. At Maxie Jones, Kirsten Storms, and Damian Spinelli's, Bradford Anderson, house, they'll look forward to a cozy night alone. Max Scorpio, John G. York, will take the kids trick-or-treating, so Spinelli and Maxie will have the place to themselves. However, Jason Morgan, Steve Burton will show up on their doorstep with a somber expression, so Spinelli and Maxie will know there must be bad news. Once Jason reveals Sam's tragic twist, Maxie and Spinelli will be horrified. Later, Jason will have some heartfelt scenes with Spinelli and share that he's thankful to have him as a friend. That friendship is something Jason will give Sam credit for on Monday's GH episode. Finally, Alexis Davis, Nancy Lee Gran, will ask Christina Corinthos Davis, Kate Mancy, and Molly Lansing Davis, Kristen Veganos, for a favor. Since the last thing their family needs is more drama right now, Alexis might request a truce from her remaining daughters. The least Molly and Christina can do is come together for Sam's sake, so let's hope they'll grant Alexis wish and honor Sam's memory by making peace. General Hospital spoilers say Alexis might also need help with some funeral preparations, so we'll bring you more predictions on her next steps. At the break of dawn, Port Charles awakened under a cloud of tension. The morning mist curled like ghostly tendrils over the harbor, obscuring the sun and casting a somber glow over the town. It was a day that would forever alter the landscape of lives already riddled with secrets and shattered dreams. Jason Morgan stood in the hallway of General Hospital, his eyes as cold and still as the East River outside. He was a man accustomed to delivering bad news, but today the weight on his chest was unbearable. Maxie Jones sat in the waiting area, anxiously tapping her foot on the linoleum floor. The sharp staccato beats punctuated the silence, grating against Spinelli's frayed nerves. He stood beside her, fingers drumming an erratic pattern on the back of the chair in front of him. Both exchanged worried glances, sensing that the calm was merely a prelude to a storm. When Jason entered the room, his usual mask of stoicism faltered. The sight of Maxie and Spinelli's expectant faces cut through his resolve like shattered glass. He swallowed hard, his Adam's apple bobbing in a futile attempt to dislodge the dread coiled in his throat. "Jason, what's going on?" Maxie's voice cracked with a mix of fear and impatience. The way Jason's eyes flickered spoke volumes before he even uttered a word. "I need to tell you both something that's going to change everything," Jason said, his voice low and strained. He glanced at Spinelli, who was already pale, and then back at Maxie, whose blue eyes burned with questions she wasn't sure she wanted answered. Maxie's heart pounded in her chest like a war drum. She could feel the world shifting beneath her feet. Jason rarely wore expressions that hinted at anything beyond steely determination. But now he looked haunted, as if he carried a truth that threatened to hollow him out from the inside. Spinelli's mind raced with possibilities, each more horrible than the last. He knew Jason's silences well. They were never empty. They were brimming with the things he wished he didn't have to say. "Jason," Spinelli whispered, stepping forward. "Please tell us what's happened." Jason's gaze softened momentarily. He took a deep breath, the weight of the air pressing down on him as if it might suffocate him. "It's about Sam," he said finally, and the room's temperature seemed to drop a few degrees. The mere utterance of her name was enough to send ripples through the thin veneer of composure Maxie had managed to hold. Maxie's eyes welled up, and Spinelli's jaw clenched as he took a step back, already bracing for the blow. "What about Sam?" Maxie asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "She didn't just disappear," Jason continued. "I thought I was protecting her, that putting distance between us would keep her safe, but I was wrong. I found out this morning that Sam is." His voice broke, but he forced himself to push forward. "Sam's gone. I'm sorry." The silence that followed was deafening. Maxie gasped, her hand flying to her mouth as if to contain a scream. Spinelli stumbled back into a chair, the world tilting dangerously around him. Jason's words hung in the air like smoke, filling their lungs with the bitter reality of grief. "No, that can't be true," Maxie said, shaking her head. "She was going to come back. She always comes back." Jason stepped forward, placing a hand on her shoulder, a silent acknowledgement of the bond they all shared with Sam. "I wish it weren't true, Maxie. I tried everything to find her. We all did. But it's time we faced it." Spinelli's face crumpled as he buried it in his hands. The jackal, who could hack through any firewall, manipulate any piece of data to find answers, was powerless against the cruel finality of loss. How did this happen? His voice was muffled, fractured. Cyrus Renault's vendetta. I thought we'd neutralized his threat, but he still had allies we didn't account for. Sam's investigation into those loose ends led her right into their path, Jason explained, each word cutting deeper into the fabric of their shared pain. Maxie blinked away the tears threatening to spill, turning her gaze out the window where the city hummed its usual tune of indifference. She hated the way the world kept spinning when hers had just shattered. "We need to honor her, Jason," she said suddenly, her voice steady with newfound purpose. "We can't just let her fade away." Jason nodded, but before he could respond, the double doors swung open, and Alexis Davis stepped inside. Her eyes were red-rimmed, dark shadows spreading like bruises beneath them. She had already heard the news. The weight of loss seemed to bend her frame, and yet she stood tall, her chin lifted with a quiet, defiant strength. "I want to hold a memorial," Alexis announced, her voice wavering but resolute. Something to remember her, to remind this town who Sam was, and how fiercely she loved. The room fell silent again, but this time it was different. The grief was still there, raw and aching, but now it was laced with a determination that burned in each of their eyes. Jason looked at Alexis, then at Maxie and Spinelli. For the first time that morning, he allowed a small nod. It wasn't acceptance, not yet, but it was the first step toward it. Maxie reached out to take Spinelli's hand, intertwining their fingers in a shared gesture of support. He squeezed back, a silent promise to stand by her, and by Sam's memory, as they navigated the days to come. Jason turned to the window, the gray morning light framing his silhouette like an ethereal shroud. He could almost hear Sam's voice, her laughter, the way she always managed to find the silver lining. He closed his eyes and let the memory wash over him. It wasn't enough. It never would be. But for now, it was all they had, and they would hold on to it fiercely together.